Hey everyone, this video is just to kind of, I guess, catch you up to speed to how I'm thinking and where I think the project should kind of go, direction, at least to get the deliverables out, to kind of get some image of what you all have in your heads out to the audience. So I haven't gone to the site, but I'm going to express a methodology here using Google Earth Pro and using the Forsyth County GIS viewer and talk a little bit more about that when I get into it, just to show how it kind of framed the site, the project, to kind of get an understanding of what's going on, like what am I trying to do, what does the site kind of look like, to begin to kind of pick perspectives maybe that I want to sketch out to have before and after images, to begin thinking about that early on in the process, and also to allow me a tool that I can actually sketch on to generate some ideas quickly, and to kind of give me help drawing the perspectives. And then I'll cover some of the file management and basic things that I think that are helpful when starting a project. So to begin, I'm going to go to Google Earth Pro. Google Earth Pro now is free, so no reason not to have it if you don't want it. All right, so I'm gonna type in just Walltown. I'm not even really sure of the address, but I'm just gonna type in Walltown. Street, Winston-Salem. Kind of go there and hit search. All right, there we go. So what's really cool about the Google Map tools and Google Earth is that they're giving you these 3D views now. So there goes the site. So as I begin to zoom in, it kind of gives me this tilt perspective, and I can kind of see what's going on the site to a certain extent, right? And have an idea. Like I can see now that this building was kind of hard for me to understand initially, but I'm looking at the base map, the CAD base map. But after looking at this, I can kind of see how there's different levels, and there's a cutout over here. I guess it's a smokestack or whatever, and I have a much better understanding of what's going on the site just by looking at it in this way. I can spin my gizmo around and kind of see it from different angles and perspectives, right? And this is kind of tying into how I would proceed about doing sketches or preparing to design the project. And I don't know what the program is yet, but I know this is the site. So once I have these kind of shots, then what I would do is use the image tool, the save image tool, and kick out basically JPEGs of these areas. And I do that because then I can take this and put trash over top of it and then do quick sketches, hand sketches, to kind of figure out what things should be looking like and even use it as an analysis tool, pointing out things like, man, that looks rough, it's unfinished, are they building something there? It's coming up to this parking area, it's adjoining to this major street. It looks like there's a bike lane there. So all these things you can kind of glean from this, and it's easier to see as a designer, and also I think as a client, what we're talking about when things are in 3D. Hopefully, in this technology, we'll just continue to improve. And one day maybe we'll be able to go to Google Earth and then just kick out an existing conditions map in 3D, and that would be an awesome, beautiful thing. But until that happens, this is kind of the methodology that I would implement. So anyway, you kick these images out, so you can give it a title here, and put your legend information in. What's cool about it too is it's going to give you a north arrow direction and also a graphic scale. So now I would just say save image. You can select your resolution. You can get a really, really high resolution, which means we can blow these things up pretty big. I recommend just working about 11 by 17 generally, so I can work faster and also ensure I can have easier scans of my work. But if you wanted to have a big image, you would just set a really, really high resolution and kick it out so you can stretch it out to like a 24 by 36 inch sketch if you wanted to. All right, so I'm gonna hit save image. You would give it a name. Now, I've already created under my library, we talked about templates before, I have a project folder template that has all the subfolders and everything for me. So I just copy that for everything that I do typically when I remember to. And then I just add the information. So on my desktop, I've already copied that folder over and renamed it Walltown Street. And I would go into my site imagery, and then I would begin to save this information. So I created a subfolder within this called Perspective Board Images, and I've saved several already. But I would just name this and kick these images out and save them one by one. And I just want to show you all the images that I've kind of kicked out of the site. And this could be anything that you want. You're twisting the thing around so you're able to kind of manipulate it. So site imagery. So you can see I'm just getting, images of the church, kind of the surrounding architecture. And this is actually, you can go into Street View within Google Earth Pro, and I'll show you that here in a second. But I went into Street View and just kicked out some images of the architecture and to try to understand what's going on, the materials that they're using. There, I see columns, I see domes. It seemed like it was a pretty strong connection because it's like right across the street, right? So potentially I'll be looking at that for influence. There goes that image there, that site, just kind of looking at that. I can sketch over that. Kind of zooming out even more to see the kind of the site in its entirety. Zooming into specific areas again. And this is all in the 3D view. I'm not Street View, this is 3D view within Google Earth Pro. And again, we can do quick sketches over these things, put some trash over and just really copy the line work that's existing and just add pieces to it, right? Add entourage, and you can begin to quickly think about the things that you want to do. Same thing, this is, I believe, Street View now. I'm getting shots of the road. So like, for instance, Patrick's section, we can visualize and sketch what does that really feel like? What's it gonna look like? And these images become really nice because then again, you can show before and afters. So even if we model this, hopefully you get to that point, the 3D model, you can begin to match the scenes, right? So you can have before and after scenes, and those are really, really powerful images for people to understand what you're trying to do. Same thing, just different shots of the street and kind of close-ups of these areas. Also looking at in this entranceway and trying to catch some of the archetype of the existing residential, to maybe even propose something different for that. If it's modular, maybe the modules can look like this in the future, or how can we retrofit these things and make them look better, because they don't look too sexy right now. Again, taking shots of the archetype to understand maybe a sidewalk should be on this side of the road. I was thinking that because I saw on the other side of the road there's a sidewalk, there's room. Just looking at things like that. Another entrance. So you kind of get the idea here, zooming out. And even though some of like this looks kind of shitty, I see that, right? But the idea is that it gives you a framework and helps give you perspective. So if you're sketching, I can put a piece of trash over here. I don't have to worry about trying to figure out my vanishing horizon line. It's kind of helping you, it's giving you those guidelines initially, right? It's giving you that information, so it makes it easier. It kind of gives you the proportion to follow how the perspectives are receding so that you can draw and quickly sketch ideas in before you even begin to get to, say, AutoCAD or SketchUp, just to help you work faster. Same thing. Okay, so we get the idea. So back in Google Earth Pro, let me jump back here real quick. You can also, let me close out the image piece and X that out. If you hover over here, you'll see the kind of this guy, right, this peg. So I'm going to grab him and put him on the road. When I do that, you enter Street View, just like in Google Maps, right? So I'm here, and then I can zoom around, and the imagery is not bad. It really, again, I haven't been to the site physically, and I think there is something to be said about going to the site. Obviously, you should always go when you have the opportunity, but with these new technologies, this is giving me a pretty good picture of what's going on and how it feels to to be there. I see the bike lane, I see kind of the grit of the city, I see these power lines that are everywhere, right, on the site, which would be like a big design consideration for me. Like, these power lines are everywhere, right? What can we do with that? I see the fire hydrant, manhole, I see all these details, and that the things that you would see going to the site that I can kind of glean from this imagery. And again, I can sketch over these things too, right? Again, I can look at the architecture of the building. Maybe I want to pull off that. I think I even noticed over here in this archetype, on this part of the building. Oh, let me zoom up. Oh, too far. It looked like there's brick, and it looks like they have this kind of wagon wheel motif that they've already, it's like this emblem they've already had on the building. So that would kind of make sense that you would pull from that. I mean, those are just things that I would see. And maybe you all did. I guess you all are doing the wagon wheel thing, and maybe that's where it came from. But even from this imagery, I could begin to pull kind of these fine details and see things, and see litter, trash, and see historic. I guess that's a marker with some type of signage. So again, you can kind of get a good idea of what's going on the site quickly, and have a tool to sketch over. All right, you all get that. So now, after I have all those things done, I'm like, well, now I need a base map, right? So how do I generate a base map? Again, one day, maybe I just a few clicks in a program like Google Earth Pro. Maybe they're combined within SketchUp, and now you have an existing conditions. Again, we're not there, but I think that's where things are moving. In the meantime, I was just playing around and kind of looking online. The GIS data explorers are getting much, much better. I mean, again, we're moving towards a information modeling world where we have all this data and all this content. So people are, even smaller places like Forsyth County have pretty sophisticated online, cloud-based data explorer services that you can just kind of get on and just download information. So Forsyth County had one. It's the first time I'd used it, but it was very similar to Guilford County's. So I just launched the Data Explorer. And I'm going to go search. Now, I still don't know the address, but I'm typing Walltown. I'm just going to go there, whatever. Okay. Now I need to change these maps. Sometimes it just trips me out. Something basic. So is it base? Choose a base map. Yeah. So I'm gonna go world imagery, so I can see kind of what's going on. Well, let me not do world imagery actually. I think there's let me do 2014 aerial photos. Okay. So that's obviously not the site. So let me zoom out. This must be around here somewhere. I think it's to the right. I think it's to the right, y'all. Could be wrong. No, there it goes. All right. So there's the site. Really nice, clear image that I can see. So we can do two things from here. What we're going to do is we're going to generate AutoCAD or DWG file information, and also just a print base map. The print base map size, from what I've seen so far, what I've been able to do is just limited to 11 by 17. But still a decent map we can look at. So here's the site, has all this information on it. It's kind of parcel stuff. So what I want to do is I want to display the information that I want to see. And keep in mind that when you create your base map, your print is going to show you a window, and I'll show you that. But when you kick out DWG information, it's going to show you everything that's within your computer view screen. So keep that in mind, and zoom in and out accordingly, right? So I want some nice context in this, and I can always trim this in AutoCAD pretty easy, but I want to always give myself more than I need rather than less than I need, right? So I'm going to go to Maps, and I'm going to go to Map Layers, and this is where the magic begins to happen. I'm going to turn on Environmental, and what I want to see is streams. Stream pops up, that's cool, right? But I want to go beyond that. What about watersheds? See if we're any like watersheds. No? RPA, riparian basins. There's something going on. So there's a basin. Excuse me, sub-basin. You can do soil types in here, right? So if you need to do an analysis quickly, it's giving you soil types. It'll give you veg coverage. I'm going to leave these layers off because I think we can trace that. But if you wanted to bring those in, I guess we can just, why not? Why not everybody in the pool? I'll leave soil types off because I want to be able to see it. We could probably adjust the opacity, but I just want to kind of get there. Another really important thing, right? I need topography, so I'm gonna go. I think this one it's on the east. On the west, nothing appeared, so that's why I used the east. And I didn't want 10 foot. I want tighter contours because I like working that way. I like working 1-to-1, but sometimes that can be overwhelming depending on the scale of your project. You can go now. We're going to the boundaries category. I want to turn the boundaries on, and I want to have what is it, building inspections. Now, see, if all this information you can kind of drop in. So maybe I don't need any of that actually. Let me do sail layers, so I don't really need. I'll turn that on and see what happens. Yeah, so you definitely want that layer. So that's giving me, I'm gonna get rid of my parcel points now. I don't need transfers, I don't believe. I got some other stuff I'm like, there's all that crap. And there you go, just cleaning up some. So I'm trying to get rid of some of those numbers and that other information that I don't really feel like I need. But you're seeing it's going to generate from that then actually parcel lines. So I'm generating all that in addition to actually the building outlines as well. Boom, boom. So that's already on. That's cool. Turn off what else? need that. Okay, vegetation cover. Just looking for those lines. What's that? Parcels. I guess you could bring in zoning information as well. I'm not going to do that. And again, I was looking at this today, so this is pretty obvious, pretty easy to use. So something you all can definitely do. I'm not sure where that layer is. I don't know what that number. But anyway, that's cool for me. So cool. Now, so we had that information. This is stuff that I want to see. So now let me start playing with maps and stuff, and we can just isolate things. And you can keep on playing and figure out what those numbers are. I'm getting impatient. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do is just kick out some maps, just some print map or a print map of the area that we want. So I kind of centered it to where I want, and I'm going to hit print. It only gives me the ability to do 8.5 by 11, 11 by 17. So that's what I was kind of felt like I had to be dealt with. So there might be a way to change the size of that. I don't know yet. I'm not going to include the data table. You can do that. It'll kick out kind of a report for you. For this purpose, I just wanted a base map. So I'm going to turn that off. The rectangle changes, and you realize that I can kind of resize this. So I'm just going to X out a little bit. Or not a little bit, all the way, a lot of it. I'm gonna zoom in, click one zoom in to kind of the area, and then I'm gonna go back to print and kill that data table. It's portrait 11 by 17, and I see that I should be okay because the site's really kind of here. Bring that down. I think I'm good there. That's probably gonna work out. Okay. Then I'm going to kick this thing out as a JPEG. And it'll do its thing. Bam. So what's nice about this too, again, is that I know that's true north, and I know that it's a pretty good aerial image, and it's giving me a graphic scale, so I can take this thing in, and we can even if we didn't have CAD lines that we're going to kick out, and for some of that it's still going to be necessary because I can't see those edges in here for the parking, so we still have to kind of manually trace that. I can align this image within AutoCAD to kind of finish it out, and then also even act as an aerial background and just reduce the opacity as an image for even out of AutoCAD. So again, I'm trying to make sure all my work is aligned, and because we're getting ready to kick out the exact same line forms from the same site, all this stuff is going to align and jive. So then I would just right-click and save image as. I'm going to navigate back to my desktop and then back to Walltown Street, and again I'd put it under site imagery, and I've done this already. That's my base map aerial. Alright, so I'm going to kind of cancel that out. I'm not worried about that. Back here. So now let's kick out some CAD information. So now I'm going to go Tools and Export Layers. And well, before I do that, let me zoom out because again I want more information and make sure that I can just trim. So I'm going to kind of zoom it out because it's going to crop the information to what I see on my screen. Okay. So then I'm going to go to Tools and then Export Layers, and then I'm going to navigate to the, I just use AutoCAD 2007, but you have all these other export options as well, so keep that in mind. I'm going to say Export. It's going to do its thing, the wheel is going to turn, and it's making magic for us. I had issues when I tried to do this within Guilford County. I called the lady, one of the people over there, and talked to her, and she sent me, I guess they fixed the problem, whatever. I mean, that's kind of what spurred me to look for one in Forsyth County. It's the exact same viewing technology, so yeah, somebody's making money, and it's a really cool tool, really cool tool. And I would imagine the larger cities must have tools that are comparable. All right. So I'm gonna go here, click on that, and blap, it opens up the folder for me, and then it gives me an export. So let's double click on that and see what it generated for us. Continue opening DWG file. Open recovered, no. Because you were tripping earlier. Okay. So now, okay. Okay. Let's go back here. Let me just maximize this. All right. So now you can see what it generated for us, right? We have, I can barely see that. What layer is that on? It's on structures. So let me modify the structure layer so we can see it a little bit better. Make it white. There we go, much better. So now you can see it generated a nice base map for us. And what's sweet about this is that these are actually polylines that have elevation. And not 3D polys are not just regular plain polyline that have 3D elevation to them. So that means that we can generate a terrain mesh from this in SketchUp, right? Really, really easily. Giving me parcel lines. And what's nice too is all these things are nice and organized and separated over here. I even brought over acreage information, so I know on the site it's 9.06 acres, so I could even get instant pull-off information from this tool, which is really nice, right? I can see my streams, I can see my basins, I can see this swale, this impression that's going on the line. I can see that the water is draining in this direction. Some of it, is because I've been looking at the aerial and studying this, but I can click on the contours and understand that things are moving down, so it's really good information. Okay. So now that we have this nice representation of the site, what I want to do is just bring it over to a template that I've created, just to be able to match properties, to make things easier and faster. Because once you have a template and use it over and over and over again, it makes your work more efficient. So this is come up with these really nice layers for me, and if you had to, you can just run with that. But I'm going to grab all this information, I'm going to hit copy, and I'm going to Control O. And I have a base template. It's not a DWT, which is a template file, but it's actually just a DWG that I saved out because I was having problems saving out a DWT, but it works the same way. I can hit open. I'll ignore the model references. It's making reference to a logo that I had. So yeah, I have this cool template now. And you'll see that it has all the plant material in it. This template, the units I've modified. If I can show you all. I've modified to be decimal with feet, so everything should come in cleanly. I have basic things that we always use. I have the design extents, property line, existing contours, and proposed contours. So I have some existing layer types that have been brought in. I also have these hatches that I like to use over and over again. Now, in order to use these hatches, because some of these won't be in your computer, there is a hatch file that I've made videos for in the past that I can give you a link to show you how to download those hatch files to your own library so that these actually work. But anyway, so I have this ready. I'm in model space. I'm going to hit Control V, and I'm going to bring in the base map. Okay, so this base map, everything's awesome, right? The only thing about this base map is that it's not with my convention. It's not what I'm used to seeing. So I'm going to fix that. I'm going to go lay ISO. And I'm going to isolate before that. I'm trying to figure out what, it's vegetation cover. Yeah. So I'm gonna lay ISO. I thought I was like another contour layer. I was like, look, lay ISO. I'm gonna click that purple, and I'm gonna click on my existing contour layer here. All right. That's all I want to see. Oh, that's awesome. Beautiful contours. But that's not used to what I'm seeing, so I'm going to modify them. I'm going to hit Match Properties, MA, and I'm just going to select all those. Boom. And when I do that, they're instantly updated. The hatches are there. Everything should be line type enabled because that was that's how I had this one established, right? So then I just type in lay on again. Oh, lay on. There we go. So now it's beginning to read like I'm used to seeing it, right? So I can see my contours there. Apparently that's the vegetation cover. I can change that color, the veg color, to make it a brighter color so that we can actually see it. So it's the typical green. That works a little bit better. Those are what, parcels? I'll just turn those into like a red color. Okay, cool. What else do we have here? I have these numbers, I guess, that are appearing here, and that's, what is that? Let me get rid of my acreage annotation. Don't need that. Because anything that has annotation in it at all, probably I don't need. Okay, what else do we have here? Okay. So that's helping me read and understand it a little bit better. I can update, my center lines. Those are center lines. I like those typically like a light blue. There we go. Okay. Okay, there's something else going on there. Pin numbers, okay. It's like, what is going on? So pin numbers are on. They're on like I don't know why they're in black like that. It's weird. But I'll turn them off because I don't want to see them anyway. There, okay, much better. Like, what was pin numbers? Gotta watch those pesky pin numbers. You never know. All right, so REA, everything's cool. I have trees that I can drop in immediately. That I can turn off the shadows. These trees are nice. I like these, the simplified ones, because they have closed regions, right? So I still get some different. Well, this one's not closed. You might want to mix that one. But most of these trees have a closed boundary so that we can render them easily in Photoshop, right? All about speed. So, okay, now I have this. This is a basic base map. I can even change my basins blue and make that a water line and just keep on adjusting, right? So what I would do from that point, because I'm using the template, I just want to do a save as. And I'm going to go into my desktop and I'm going to go to my Wildtown Street. I'm going to go to my AutoCAD and I'm going to call this new existing conditions because I did one previously, but I'm going to go through the title block too, so I'll do this one. So new existing, right? So now I can get rid of that export. I don't even need that anymore, so don't save, peace. I have this here. So now what's nice about this template is that I have some, I have some layouts done for you. So layout plan. These are based on 24 by 36 inch boards, which is just standard size. You can also you actually can keep on adding sizes to this and do 36 by 48s and have like a master template that has everything just waiting for you, and then you figure out your project size based on those templates with your title blocks that's already been made for you. You just delete the other ones. That's what I would do, and I probably should do for you go on one day, but not this day. So I'm gonna come back over here again. I have my project name. All the information is waiting for you to put in, so you can all these things are editable, so you can change them if you would like. I'm gonna right click on my viewport, display locked. No, that's good. I want to double click in here and kind of navigate to where my site is, right? That looks where the site is. PS enter, just go back out a little bit. So now I want to set the scale. I don't have to do that scale increment anymore when you're using units, so I can just go to a basic 1 to 20 or 1 to, I said 1 to 50 maybe would work. There, looks like a 150 scale to me, so looks like everything's fitting on a 50 scale on a 24 by 36. So not the biggest scale to work with, can't show tons of detail, but just the general plan and layout you can on a 24 by 36 inch. So again, you can change this and modify it to a 36 by 48, or maybe even change the orientation so that you can get more of the site in. Let's see what a 40 scale will look like. Yeah, it's not gonna work. Yeah. On this one, this orientation, I'm just gonna rock with the 50. You want more context anyway, that's cool. So that's good. I'm also noticing I still got some annoying information in here. So parcel dimensions, which is right here. That needs to go much better. Look at that. It's beautiful. I have, what is this? Oh, it's from the basins. I'll keep that in color. I don't care. That's fine. You could change the color of that. I'm gonna leave them on. You can then change the line weights again. This is on your structures layer. I don't have that set for you. I deleted those. You can, because it'll change depending on your scale. You can just begin to play with the line weights, turn your line weights on so that you can see what's going on in your drawing and really begin to manipulate those. So for structures, for instance, I might want those to be heavier. So navigate at some point to its line weight, and maybe that's like a 0.90 or something. So that when I zoom in now, I can see kind of the weight on it, right? And then again, I'm seeing the black because I've set this thing up under paper space. If I go to edit page space, I have all black set to my plot style. So I've taken all that, the CTB, created a CTB basically inside this, my own CTB, and made everything print black. Okay, now again, you'll have advanced CTBs that have line weights established to them at most firms. I'm keeping it flexible because I don't have these things that they're not scalable, they're not annotative. My line weights aren't. If you can do that, I don't know how to do that, so I'm showing you the way that I know. Boom. So again, you got a quick base map, done relatively quickly to begin to work from, and you have some imagery you can sketch on. And it didn't take a whole lot of time to generate that information. Now, the sketching and the design is going to take some time, but at least you have some really strong base pieces from which to work that are scaled, and that people can understand and you can begin to work quickly from. The harder part is going to be the programming. What are we talking about? So once you get once you have kind of your base information, you've done some analysis. Part of that analysis is the community involvement piece, which I don't know much about for the specific project, but you all do. So hopefully all that stuff's been worked out, the things that they want, what you all think that they need, so that the uses that are being proposed in the building, which seems to be the primary component of this project, are reflected in the landscape and make sense and connect to the landscape. And that if you were really looking at stormwater and looking at, like this draw coming in here, and you want to kind of protect these basins and try, things that we should be thinking about as landscape architects, then that should be expressed in your analysis. And then whoever does this portion of it, or do this collective design, because you're really one class, it's one design, this should really be buffering that. You should have rain gardens, things that are, looking at that swale and channeling the water in an intelligent way, and helping some of these people who are down, because that sucks for them too, right? Because they're just getting swept away, so they're downhill from this. So it would be nice to create a stronger buffer between them as well. Maybe there kind of is, maybe the vegetative layer, I guess there is some vegetation there, but yeah, reinforce that, do some smart things with that. And then again, the design needs to reflect the interior or the program that you're putting in, and looking at the materials and cladding, and that's how I would approach this. So hopefully this is a good overview of how I think and how I would approach it, and how you might, if you're doing this professionally, if somebody asks you to do it and they're giving you a way to do it. A lot of times, I guess in reality, people are going to have base maps and surveys for you, but if you're ever put into a situation, and for your own personal project for the last part of next semester, your final semester, this is a potential methodology that you can use. All right. Any questions, just let me know.